There you go. All right. So if you'd like to play music, I'm playing Yoga Candlelight. And we're starting down in child pose. Let your knees be a little bit wider than your hips. Untuck your toes and reach your arms out long in front of you. Take a long breath in through your back body. Exhale it out. And if your head is not comfortably touching the mat, slide one of your blocks underneath your forehead. And let's take our right arm down by our right leg. Reach your left arm on a diagonal over to the right side of your mat. Lean your hips a little bit over to the left and breathe into that whole left side. Inviting slow breaths in and slower breaths out. And switch sides. So take your left arm down by your left foot. Reach your right arm over on a diagonal over to the left. Draw your hips over to the right a little bit and breathe into that right side body. And come back to center. Extend those arms really long out in front. Spread the fingertips a little bit wider apart. On your next inhale, come up onto your knees. If your knees are not underneath your hips, bring them in a little closer. And on your exhale, gather in with the low belly. Hug your elbows in and slowly lower all the way down to the belly. Inhale, baby cobra, draw the heart forward. Exhale, melt it down like a liquid spine. Inhale, back up onto all fours. Exhale, back to your heels, child pose. Now, if your knees are kind of giving you, if your knees are tender, slide a blanket underneath them. Start to walk your hands now back behind you, coming up onto your heels, sitting up onto your heels. Lift your hips up into this modified camel. Lift the heart. Slowly lower down. And one more time, reach out long with the fingertips, this extended child pose. Come up onto your knees. Hug the low belly in. Slowly lower all the way down onto your belly. Inhale, cobra, lift the heart. Exhale, release it down. One final time, push back up. It's some arm work. Bring your hips back to child pose. Walk your hands back. You're seated on your heels here. Bring your fingertips or your hands behind you. Lift your hips. Open your heart. And slowly return back now to all fours. All right, so if those knees are starting to talk to you, go ahead and grab, if you have a blanket, spread the blanket out underneath your knees. We're going to do a bunch of stuff on the knees today. So if you have that, or you can fold up, well, if you fold up your mat, you might lose some of it, but a towel or a cushion of some kind. So come into all fours, hands and knees, just a simple cat and a cow. So inhale into your cow, let your belly fall. Exhale, round your spine. And come into a neutral spine. Going to thread the needle here. So Take your right arm, reach it out to the right, and then take that right arm way underneath, the left arm threaded underneath. Bring your hips back again towards your heels and turn your head, let your right side of your head rest. Think about breathing into the area between your shoulder blades. And then start to release that. Sweep that right arm up to the sky. Exhale back to all fours. Now hold this here now in neutral. Draw your shoulder blades back, draw your belly in. Bring your right knee out to the right. And let's make some hip circles around in one direction, like a little hydrant. One leg out to the side, you're in all fours. And then reverse the circle around in the other direction. And return it back down to all fours. Left arm reaches up. Take a breath in. Lace the left arm way underneath the right arm. Sink your hips back. Rest on the left side of your head. Left palm is facing the sky. And breathe into that middle upper back. Where can you let go of any holding here? And start to push down with that right arm as you lift that left arm up. Take the left hand down. Now take the left knee out to the side and make some hip circles, nice and big around in one direction. And then in the other. And place that knee down. All right, get your blocks ready on either side of your mat. Just handy. And let's come up onto our knees. If you don't have blocks, you can use fingertips, right? Now think about that kind of movement we just did with the hips when we did those circles. Bring all your weight onto your left knee and just step the right foot forward into a lunge. Now toe heel that right foot, the right heel ahead of the knee a little bit. So it's like an inch or so ahead. And then take your blocks or your fingertips. You can take your hands on your hips if you don't have blocks, but if you have blocks, set them up on the high end. Let your hips come forward. Oh. Just use the blocks as like extensions of the arms, right? So let your hips glide forward any amount. Then open up through the chest. Release where you can into the inner hips. And start to straighten that front leg. Keep the hands just on top of those blocks where they were. Hinge from your hips as you lengthen the spine forward, as you lengthen that right leg into a half split. Draw the toes back towards your nose. And if it feels like you'd like to do this a little bit stronger, walk the blocks so that they frame the front foot, or you can bring your fingertips there and drop your head. You're coming into like a forward fold. Same thing, you're just changing the spine a little bit and changing the arms. And then let's rebend into that front knee. Place your blocks off to the side. Take your left hand down to the left side of the mat. Take your right arm up for a twist. Open up that right armpit. And start to release that. Walk your hands back and come back onto your knees. Take this to the other side. So now take your left foot, bring it around, step the left heel forward an inch or so ahead of the knee. You can either take your hands on your hips or set up those blocks. let your hips come forward. So in yin yoga, this is called dragon. We're dragons. So we're lifting up and out of the hips. We're letting the hips come forward. And in yin yoga, we would hold this for like at least 2 minutes. Oh man, is that an experience? Some of you have done that with me before. So rather than everything dumping down, let everything lift up and out of the hips. And now keeping your blocks where they are or your hands where they are, start to lengthen that front leg with a flat back. Draw your heart forward, draw your toes back towards your nose, and breathe. You can bring the blocks a little bit lower if you feel like they're too high. You can walk the blocks to frame your ankle or your fingertips to frame your ankle and drape your body over that leg. It's still holding that hamstring stretch. So to rebend the knee, set the blocks off to the side. Right hand down, left arm, take a twist, open that left armpit. Unwind, come back onto both knees. Whew. All right. So now go ahead and take your blocks. Oh, I take that back. Yeah, you can take the blocks and set them up back sort of towards the bottom of your mat. But let's start first. You can leave your blanket right where it is too if you have a towel or a cushion. Or if you have a cushion, you might want to move it out of the way. Come all the way down onto your belly. So I want to do a couple of back bends first, and then we'll go into camel pose. So heel of your hands right underneath your armpit. Elbows hug in. Reach through the big toes. You can hover the feet and the shins and the knees off the ground if you like, and then draw the heart forward and lift up into a back bend. Oh, melt the heart forward, melt the middle upper back. And slowly lower all the way down. Now, either do one more cobra, or if you'd like to do an upward facing dog, press down with the tops of the feet, big toe, baby toe. Spin the inner thighs towards the sky. Lengthen through the arms and lift up into your upward facing dog. Back bend from the toes to the crown of the head for 3, or your cobra, 2, and slowly melt back down. Whew. And from there, we're all warmed up now for camel. So push yourself up into all fours. Try not to go into child pose just yet. Come up onto your knees. Pat underneath those knees if you haven't already. Place your blocks on either side of your ankles, on the outside of your ankles. Yeah? And inhale those arms, reach them up. Now think about lifting your rib cage up, 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 up. And think about keeping your hips right where they are, stacked over the knees. Now, as if there's like a helium balloon attached to your sternum, draw that sternum up, 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 and then start to reach back with one hand, grab a hold of the block, left hand, grab a hold of the block. Or if this is too much, you place your fist at the low back. Now let that heart lift up, that helium balloon lifting the sternum for 3. It's a strong back bend. 2. And slowly release. Oh, take your blocks out to the front of the mat, flat on the flat end. But first come into an all fours. Couple of small little cats and cows. And now open your knees really wide on your mat. Bring the big toes to touch. Sink your hips back. Place your hands on top of the blocks so you get that length through the spine all the way through the arms. Hands are on top of the blocks. Send the hips back and release through the head, the neck. And let's start to make our way back up to all fours. You can take your cushion or your blanket off to the side. Take your blocks off to the side. We'll need them again though. And make your way all the way down onto your back. Feet on the floor, knees bent. So laying all the way down on your back. Take your right ankle, place it on top of your left knee. And take your left foot off the ground if you'd like, or you can just stay there. Reach your right arm. If you take your left foot off the ground, coming into a figure four stretch, reach your right arm between the legs, flex the right foot, grab a hold of your left hamstring or your left shin, and soften through the low back, the neck, the hips. Think about the sacrum area. Let it melt down. Let that left foot completely release. Strong flex in the right foot. And now unhook the right foot. Extend the right leg out long on the ground. Squeeze that left knee in towards your chest. Give it a good squeeze. And place both feet back down onto the mat. Take it to the other side. Left ankle on top of the right knee. You can just stay there, or you can lift the right foot off the ground. Release the right foot if you've got it off the ground. Release the shoulders. Left arm laces between, grabbing a hold of the hamstring or the shin. And then bring your awareness to that low back and the sacrum. Let it soften. Bring your awareness to what you're feeling now and to where you can release or let go. Unhook that left foot, extend the left leg out long, flex the left foot, and draw the right knee in towards your chest. Draw the left thigh towards the ground. Nice, and then place both feet on the mat. Get your block and place it between your inner thighs, or a pillow or a cushion or something. Now arms down by your sides. Draw your shoulders up a tiny bit towards your ears, and then press the shoulders straight down into the ground. Feel how that opens up through your chest. Hug the block with your inner thighs, and then lift up into your bridge. Lift the bum. Draw the knees forward. Draw the tailbone towards your heels. Keep pressing the back of your arms into the mat. If it starts to bother your back, lower your hips a little bit. And then keeping your bridge, just take the block out from in between your inner thighs or your cushion, slide it on the flat end underneath your low back while you're still in bridge, and then lower your hips down. Now you're in supported bridge. Feel as if you could let your low back and sacrum area just sort of spread and release into the support of your block. The glutes releasing. This is called restorative bridge, or sort of like a more resting pose bridge. Try to keep those hips and glutes released. Start to reach one leg up towards the sky and then the other. You still have the block of the cushion underneath your back. Take any effort out of it. Let the legs just sort of dangle up there as if they're attached to ropes from the ceiling. Just let them dangle, let the glutes release. Point and flex through your feet. Make circles from your ankles. Open the toes. Reverse the circles. Good. And then start to engage the low belly a little bit. Draw it in and up. Flex both feet, I should say. Slowly, keeping your belly engaged, slowly lower the right leg towards the ground. And then bend the left knee, hug the left knee in towards your chest. Now bring the right foot down on the ground, right heel presses away, toes draw back, draw that left knee in, the right leg is extended long, the left knee is hugging in. It's a little bit deeper now into those inner hips. If it's too much, come back into your bridge, remove your block. And then bring both legs back up to the sky. Engage the low belly, lower the left leg slowly down, extend it, extend it, extend it, and then draw the right knee in towards your chest. Draw the left heel away from you. Draw the toes back, left toes towards you. Draw the left heel down. Squeeze that right knee in. And now just slide that left foot in, place the right foot down, you're back in your restorative bridge pose, and then lift the hips, get the block out from underneath you, and slowly lower down onto your back. Now cross your left thigh completely on top of your right thigh, like you're wearing a mini skirt. Yep. And then push down with the right foot. Lift your hips and move them a little bit over to the left. Just scooch them over there a little bit. Take your arms out to the side and let your knees drop to the right. Oh, it's going to be kind of a strong outer hip and twist. You can turn your head to the left if you'd like that. Make any little adjustments if you need to with that right foot. Deep breath in. Long breath out. So we breathe all day long and we don't even notice it. Bring your awareness to your breath here. See if you can slow the pace down just a little bit. And you can unravel the legs first, or you can engage your belly a little bit, come back onto your back. Realign your hips. Just rock your pelvis side to side a little bit. And then cross your right thigh on top of your left. Lift your hips a little bit over to the right. Arms are out to the side, like a big giant T with the arms. Palms are open. Drop your knees over to the left. You can turn your head to the right or to the left, or whatever you want to do with that neck. Release it. Bring your awareness all the way into through your legs, your hips, your spine, your neck. Where can you soften? And start to come back onto your back. Unwrap that right leg. Bring your feet now as wide as your mat. Just let the knees drop side to side. And slow it down, like 5 times slower. Like you had all day to do this. And the next time the knees are dropped over to the left, just pause there. Pause with the knees dropped to the left. Draw your right kneecaps further away from your hip, like you're trying to touch your right knee towards that upper left corner of your mat. And come back to center and go to the other side. You can turn your head as well. Try to add a little more length through that left quadricep. And come back onto your back. Hug the knees into your chest. Bring those knees out wide. Let your back stay really flat and a happy baby here. So you can keep holding on to the knees, or your peace fingers can grab your big toes, reaching your arms to the inside of your legs. Bottoms of your feet pointing towards the ceiling, and maybe a gentle rocking side to side. And start to bend the knees, bring the knees in towards each other. Stretch those legs out long. Reach your arms up overhead. Take a big stretch and really reach. Those reach points through the toes, reach through the fingertips. Lots of energy in the stretch. Breathe in. And then as you exhale, let the arms rest down by your sides and let go of all the energy. Arms down by your sides, let the legs release, let the torso release into the support beneath you. And ending with 3 cycles of breath. So if it's comfortable, close your mouth. Taking a deep breath in through your nose, letting the breath fill into your low belly. And let's pause at the top of that inhale. No in-breath, no out-breath, just a little pause. And a slow out-breath again through the nose. When you completely release all the breath, pause with just sort of that feeling of no in-breath, no out-breath. And then a slow breath in. Again, allowing that low belly to rise. Allowing the rib cage to receive the breath. A little pause at the top. And then a slow out breath. Notice when you've completely let go of all the air. And pause in that just brief moment of stillness. And one more cycle at your own pace. When you've completed your cycle, just start to move in any way that feels like you can start to wake up your body. Maybe hug the knees in. Rock a little side to side. Roll onto one side. And using your top arm, gently bring yourself up to your seat. Whew. Inhale those arms, reach them up. Exhale. Thank you all very much for our little gentle yoga flow practice, for joining.